Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have a fun and simple card making technique that I want to share with you. It's a pretty hot and trendy technique right now, and it involves the layering of some circle shapes. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have two different ways that you can use this layering circle technique in your card making. Now, the cards in this video feature the Gnome for the Holidays stamp set from Stampin Up. However, keep in mind that you can really use any stamp set or supplies you have on hand to create these cards. I think you're going to be super excited with how simple and fun this technique is. So let's get started. Okay, so before we get started making the cards, I just want to go over a couple of things with you. So the key to this design is to find different sized circle shapes. So for my cards, I am using the Stitched Shapes dies. So there are actually 4 different dies in this set. I'm going to use the first 3. So you can see they all layer nicely together. So I'm only going to use 3 out of the 4 dies. You could use all 4 if you want, but just for my cards, I just decided to use 3. So notice how the dies all nest together. So they're different sizes. You can use any size circle shapes as long as they can be layered together. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to cut out 6 circle shapes. And so I'm using 3 different colors to coordinate with my pattern paper. That's why I chose these particular colors. So the interesting thing about this technique is you have to cut your circles with different colored cardstock in order to achieve this look. So for example, you'll notice that my middle circles here, they're both cut from the same color cardstock. But my smallest circle and my largest circle, they're both cut from different colors. And I'm going to bring back the card to show you why. So when we create this card, we're going to need a large circle. So I'm going to need a large circle here for this light blue, and then I need a smaller light blue circle here, so that when I create this kind of retro style design here, you're actually lining up a small circle with a large circle, you know, for the top. And then for the bottom, you're doing the exact same thing. You need a smaller dark blue circle and a large dark blue circle. So it'll all make sense when I put this together for you, but I just want you to be aware of that. So you do need to cut 6 circle shapes. So whatever colors you want on the outside of your design, those are the 2 colors that you want to cut like I've shown here. So I have a light blue and a dark blue on the outside. So those 2 colors have a large and a small. And then since my purple is on the inside of my design here, I just cut 2 of the same for my purple. This will make sense as we move along. All right, let's get started with the first card. Okay, once we have all of our circle shapes cut, what we're actually going to do is we're going to cut them in half. So the cool thing about this is you're gonna end up with a half for each of your circles, but we're gonna actually be able to create 2 cards with these 6 circles. Okay, so now that we have all of these pieces cut, now what I've done here is just kind of arrange my pieces into the pieces that I'm going to use on each card. So as I mentioned, I have a large and a small of the dark blue, a large and a small of the light blue, and then I have 2 of the purple, and that's the exact same size. So these are the pieces I'm going to use on each of the cards. So because we cut these circles in half, we can make 2 cards from the 6 circle shapes that we cut in half. Okay, for this first card, we're just going to start with a piece of balmy blue cardstock for the base of our card. Next, we're going to cut a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of pattern paper. So I'm using the Snowflake Splendor Designer Series paper, and we're going to adhere this to our card front. So this will be our background. Okay, next we're going to start arranging our circles. So if you look at the card that I have here on the left, you can see that I started with a large blue one. So if we follow the design that I'm using here, we're going to start with the largest dark blue circle. So that's going to be our bottom piece here. And then we're going to take these other circle pieces and we're going to layer them on top. So the next one is going to be the purple. So I'm just adding some glue to the back, and what I want to do is just line it up with the edge with the left side of this dark blue circle here. I want to line up the edges and then line up this part. So I want to kind of line up the circle, the side of the circle, and then line up this top edge. So we're just going to be layering these together. Then we're just going to take this balmy blue circle. We'll add a little bit of glue there, and then we'll layer that right on top of that purple one or that Highland Heather one. So you can see already that it gives you just a really cool look just by kind of off-centering those circles and layering them together. So we'll just set this aside for a moment. Now we're going to go to the top part. So the key with the top part, you'll see that this is where you get your fun little design. That's where you kind of get that little, I don't know what else to call it, a retro design. It's kind of cool. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to layer these together, except this time for the top, we're going to layer them over to the right side. So we're going to layer them in the exact same way. So I'm going to add some glue to this purple one, and I'm going to layer it off to the right here. So if you line up the circles exactly, you know, with the edges, everything will line up perfectly. Trust me, it will. And let's put some on this dark blue one. We'll line that up. Okay, so now we have a really cool design. So now we'll just arrange it on the card like that. And we'll add some glue to the back here, and then we'll adhere this to our card front. Okay, so how cool is that? And again, all we're doing is layering these circles together to create this fun little design. Okay, so now let's decorate it. So I just cut a 1/2 inch by 4.5 inch piece of designer paper. So this is one of the patterns in this pack. I just stamped a little Christmas greeting on it, and I'm just going to adhere it right across the center of the circles here. So it just kind of adds a nice little touch, covers up that seam, and then it really kind of accents that design. All right, and the next thing I did is I just stamped one of the little gnome images on a scrap piece of paper and then just colored them in with some Stampin' Blends. I cut them out by hand, and I'm just going to add him right over here on this side of the card. So I'm using a little bit of liquid glue on the top here, and then I popped the bottom part up with a little dimensional. Then I just added a couple little embellishments to the card. It kind of looks like little buttons here. So then for the finishing touch, I'm just adding a little bit of Wink of Stella just to kind of glitter them up a little bit. And that's it. How adorable is this card? Okay, the second way that you can use this fun little layering circle technique in your card making is to create this type of design. So let me show you how to create this card. Okay, so we are again going to start with a piece of balmy blue cardstock for the base of our card. Next, we're going to cut a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of designer paper, pattern paper, and we're going to adhere that to our card front. So this will serve as the backdrop for our card. Okay, so we're going to use the same circular shapes. So I'm going to just start on the bottom here. So we'll start with this light blue circle shape, and then we'll go ahead and adhere the purple one. So the purple one, as you can see, is adhered to the right side of this blue one. Then we'll adhere the dark blue. So again, I'm going to line up this edge and the side of the circles so that they all layer together. So that's our bottom section. Then our top section, we're going to start with that dark blue, and we're going to be working on the left side. So we're going to adhere the pieces on this side. So we'll take our next layer and adhere this, and then the light blue layer. So if we were creating the card like we did the other card, so if we wanted to create a card like this, you could do that with the layers that we just put together. So notice that I just adhered them differently. You know, I started the top layer on the left, started the bottom layer, started layering my circles on the right. Here I did it just the opposite. So you could create another card just, you know, like we did before. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer them directly together and just create a circle shape. So look how cool that looks. So it's just another kind of fun way to use this design. So we're going to go ahead and adhere this. So I'm going to work from the top down. So we'll adhere this top piece first, and then we'll adhere the bottom. Then again, I'm just going to layer the greeting right across the center just to kind of cover up that seam. So this piece is a 1/2 inch wide and it's 3.5 inches long. So it's just a little bit longer than the circle. Then again, I just stamped and colored in one of the little gnomes and then cut this out by hand. So we'll just adhere this little guy right over here. And then of course we'll go ahead and add some embellishments. So the last thing for this card is I decided to cut a 1 by 4 inch piece of the Highland Heather, the purple color. And I'm just gonna do a little bit of paper tearing here. And we're gonna add this to the bottom of the card. It just kind of dressed it up really nice. So we'll add some glue and add this to the bottom. And then of course the last thing we can do is add some of that Wink Stella, just to give his beard some glitter and give this little jingle bell a little bit of glitter. All right, how adorable is this? I don't know which one I like better. Which one do you like better? I think they're both just really pretty. Such a fun and cool technique. Okay, so I just want to show you 2 other cards that I made. I just kind of changed out the colors. So on these cards, I was using Balmy Blue, the Highland Heather, and Pacific Point. And then on this card, I just changed the colors to coordinate with my designer paper and just used same Highland Heather, Balmy Blue, but I added some Coastal Cabana to kind of go with the paper. But it's the exact same design as the card that I just showed you. So there's that one. And then this is what the other one looks like. So I'll just kind of put them side by side so that you can look at these cards together. So what I want you to see is that you can use any colors, any pattern papers that you want to create these cards. These would make great birthday cards, thank you cards, Christmas cards like I did, any kind of cards. So you can use this fun technique to create cards for really any occasion. Okay, so there you go. Now you have 2 different ways that you can use the layering circle technique in your card making. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.